Welcome to All Lacrosse Live. As you can see, we actually have somebody in replacement of somebody. Oh, my God. Oh, you got to check us out weekly because there's always things and pieces moving. Anyways, I'm Gary Groob. I'm in Toronto. And with me, of course, I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. And, well, Shawn is out doing some family things, so it's summertime. Let him do some family things. But filling in for Shawn, I'm lucky to get the Steel Steps host, is Pat from Philly.
What's going on, gentlemen? And I have now changed the course of Muffler Mike. Al has now approved to the muff with the stuff. With the muff with the stuff. Because that man's got that man's got loaded with knowledge. That dude brings it every time. So if anyone didn't catch it this morning, please go to the PM and AM show and catch Muffler Mike's whole take on all the Wings news. Man, it was really good. He broke it down brick by brick. So please go enjoy his interview. It was really good.
Absolutely, I caught it this morning. It was right on point. All the talking points were hit.
He even made Mike not Mike Lara.
We got a huge week. There's a ton of signings, and we're just on the doorsteps of free agency and things like that. But we're going to get rid of the network stuff first, so just hang in with me. Remember that all the episodes are streamed across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, and you can catch all the action on ELPsports.com. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons, and always share. You can also enjoy all of our affiliates, the Broad Street Bully Podcast, Philly Press Box Radio, Edge of Philly Sports Live, Bird's Eye Q, Patterson Avenue Fanatics, Talking Philly Sports with Matty B, Devereaux Sports, Painted Lines, Party on Broad. My favorite one, of course, is the Steel Steps, and, of course, Pat is the host of that show. And if you missed a show, no worries, man. You can grab all the podcasts on all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and Spotify. And you can also catch it on YouTube at the EOP Sports YouTube page. And if you're looking for ours in particular, you can go to All Across All the Time on YouTube. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting EOPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. And while you're there, please subscribe to our weekly newsletter. If you're looking for a place to catch a drink, and I know that Pat's probably there many times, just head on over to 24 East Sellers Avenue, Ridley Park. You got music, great times, memorabilia giveaway. If you want to check it out before you go there, dolansbar.com. But really, take our word for it. Get your butts on over to Dolan's, and they will show you a good time. Sherry's Ticket Town. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less and play more with Sherry'sTickets.com. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10. Don't pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why would you use any other ticket reseller and get those hard-to-come-by tickets to the big game? If you need more of a personal touch, you can give them a call, 610-494-5050, or visit their office at 1382 Nauman's Creek Road, Suite 1, Garnet Valley, Pennsylvania. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, don't overpay with the rest. Save with the best. Sherry'sTickets.com. And save an extra 10% by using the promo code EOP10. Philly Sports Trips, and I know Pat does this a lot too, is got some amazing trips, and there's all kinds of Eagle stuff up on that board. You want to take a look at that and try and get yourselves ready for the fall, ready for the Eagle season. The big one that they're looking at right now also is the Ultimate San Diego trip. is to Petco Park and going with the Phillies September 2nd to 6th. So go on over to phillysportstrip.com and check all the action. If you get into any trouble while you're there, David R. Cherry and the Cherry Firm would be more than happy to give you a hand. Workers' comp claims, motor vehicle accidents, personal injury, or criminal law. Go to www.cherryinjurylaw.com or give them a call at 610-565-0300 and tell them that the guys from EOP sent you. It's a mouthful, isn't it, guys? And now it's time for a drink.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. The Fan Cup beer. Win or lose, we drink the booze. Absolutely a motto on life. Now, just this past week, we had the world release of a new piece of merch for us. And that is, well, look at that guy with a face for radio. There is the all across, all the time windbreaker. And if you want to look at the back of it, isn't that sweet? As soon as we have pricing for you, we will let you know. But just like all the other merch, if you DM us, we will be more than happy to get you into the right direction to get it at the best possible prices. Well, guys, the Canadian Lacrosse Hall of Fame, they put out their list of their class of 2023. Some great names on there. You taking a look at, for players, Troy Cordingley, Jennifer Johnson, Gavin Prout, Darren Rizik, and for builders, Scott Browning, Paul Gilkinson, Robert Matt, 3 officials, Frank Lawrence, Rick Lum, and Jim Price, 1 veteran, which is Len Powers, and the Team Canada Women Under 19, which is the 2015 team. Pretty amazing stuff, and they're fantastic choices. So the Hall is classing itself up some more with some absolutely fantastic people.
Excellent. Yeah, congratulations to all the.
Now, if we take a look at, if we take a look at Mike's door, he has the Andrew Suter jersey from the New England Black Wolf days, which is now a collector's item, of course. But we have some breaking news, and this just came down the pipe, is that Andrew Suter is now the defensive coordinator for the Halifax Thunderbirds. Huge news. He's been having a great time with the Orangeville Northmen, but he's going back to the NLL, guys, and coaching. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is big. Obviously, I think certainly the news of Billy D. Smith stepping down, I think, came as a shock to some, maybe. Reasons aside, but I'm not sure you could ask for a better replacement than
Didn't take very long, did it?
So no. So I think he'll fit right in with that staff, and I think he'll fit right in with that defensive unit. They bring a physical style of play. They've got some bruisers on that team. Guys like Duncan Thompson and Tyson Bell.
Yeah,
among
others. I think that might be also with the knowledge and with the leadership abilities of him, might just be that thing that pushes them over the top. They've been missing that one ingredient that always seems to hang him up come playoff time against Toronto. This might be that one ingredient that that little extra bit of knowledge to go with a Kersey, and just to help them along that much more. Billy D was all fine and good, but they're to put him or to put Suter in that equation just from their accomplishments. Even coaching wise, I think Suter's record speaks for himself through the juniors. So it's going to be quite a sight, I think. Eduardo's with us. There you go. Hello, Eduardo. Hey, coming Eduardo from North Carolina. He does more traveling than Shawn, for crying out loud.
That's
my God. Between me going all over the place and there's already making plans for the Utica thing a year September, and of course Prague next year in April, and whatever else comes up along the way. I believe there's a San Diego and a Georgia trip ahead of me too, coming up this NLL year. So, and Mike with his cruises, that's coming up. It's amazing to see what kind of internet he's going to get from the big C. So, I'm looking forward to that one. Mike, are you there? But it's been a good week, guys. I'm in a great mood because, number one, my Victoria Shamrocks have made the playoffs. It was nip and tuck for a long time, but boy, oh boy, they're there. And something I haven't said very often this year, Atlas won. So, without further ado, I think that we're going to change things up a little bit. Since Pat's been so nice to come on with us, we're going to start out with the PLL. And we're going to get ourselves rolling that way. And lo and behold, the first game of said PLL was the Atlas game. And, well, you know, it's a good thing they got that win because, you know what? Next week they got the Archers. And, well, they're going to need all that they can do. But I'm telling you, man, this game was an excellent game. 11-9 was your score. Atlas is your winner. A couple of firsts in this game. For one, a 2-point goal by Sam Handley of Chrome. That was their first 2-point goal of the year. It's strange to say that, I realize.
Crazy in their 6th game of 10 on the year.
Especially when they have some guys who can just blast that thing. Connor Farrell, he didn't make the game. So that would explain the next amazing stat, which is Trevor Batiste, who went 21 of 22 faceoffs. Now, with that kind of possession, you would think that they would have to be bigger with the score. But I think it was 9 possessions in a row that they didn't score on. So Chrome kind of let Atlas in this thing because Atlas did not have their best game. But, you know, take the win where you can get it. Jack and Cannon went back in the nets after having Kirsten in that last game, and he was spectacular. He made 11 saves, including this save with mere seconds to go, and it was 11-9. They drew up a final play out of a penalty because they already thought they had killed this thing off. And, well, let's just have a look.
Puts it into play. Hanley gets a good look and bounces it, but Buchanan is forced to make the save and does. What?
That was a blast, man. That was just a howitzer and a bounce, and he had to be on his money because I was going top cheese. So, but just to get into the game itself, it's funny because at one point I was wondering, is Teat playing? Because he just wasn't much part of anything, and that goes with Chrome's defense on him. But sure enough, come the second half, he made it known that he was there. Brian Kostiuk started this game up with a blast. Xander Dixon finished off a Chris Gray pass, and it was 2-0 for Atlas, and things looked to be rolling pretty well. Cross Ferrara, we'll be saying his name a few times. He got one back for Chrome, but goals from Eric Law, Brendan Curry, and Chris Gray finished off the first quarter with a huge 5-1 lead for Atlas, and they looked to be rolling. They looked to seem like they had righted the ship, and they were playing solid defense. Kincannon looked good in net, and their offense was rolling. Enter the second, and Cross Ferrara, he got his second of the game off a Terefenko pass, followed by Will House, and all of a sudden it was 5-3. But a big blast by Kobe Smith with just 45 seconds left of the half, and it was 7-3 Atlas going into the dressing rooms. Going into the third, again, Chrome comes back. Justin Anderson gets a goal, but another one by Brian Kostiuk off a Chris Gray pass, followed by Chris Gray himself scoring, and it was 9-4 heading into the fourth. Still well in hand for Atlas. Here comes Chrome. Bang. Jackson Morrill gets a goal a minute and a half in. Just a couple of seconds later, Cross Ferrara with his third. 2 minutes later, Jesse King, and all of a sudden it's 9-7. Eric Law gets a goal back, followed by Jeff Teat. That Eric Law goal, Teat made a great play. He saw him coming in. He drew the defender to him, flipped the pass off, and Law was all alone out front and didn't make a mistake. Teat himself with one of the flukiest goals that I had seen. If you take a look at my article, I have the Twitter thing. It went off of Scanoni's foot, hit the post, went off of Scanoni's shaft, and then rolled into the net. So I'll bet you we can't recreate that goal even if we tried.
Probably not.
Sometimes, you got to be lucky to be good and good to be lucky, right? So,
Right.
and then we had the 2-pointer from Sam Handley with 4.5 minutes left in the game, which made it 11-9. We showed you with 10 seconds left or 8 seconds left, one more blast from Handley that almost tied the thing up, but almost isn't enough. Atlas is your winner, 11-9, and they put on their second win of the year and get themselves out of the basement, which Chrome has, because they're 1-5 now. We move on. We have the Cannons against Redwood.
Yeah, so the Cannons, they keep on rolling too. 16-10 over Redwoods. They improve to 4-2. Redwoods drops to 3-3, and big stars for Cannons showing up. Marcus Holman, 4 goals, 3 assists. Matt Kavanaugh had 2 and 3. Chris Aslanian and Asher Nolting, both with 3 goals and an assist. Jonathan Donville, 2 goals and an assist. For Redwoods, your big scorers were Wes Berg, 3 goals, 2 assists. Connor Kirst, 3 goals and an assist. Ryder Garnsey had 2 and 1, and Pennell had 1 and 1. But again, Redwoods. This is a team that used to especially with the 2-point goals, and they're
Yeah, they're caught watching Garnsey doing his magic, and nobody else seems to want to join in anything. It also, the Cannons, the one thing they didn't have over the last couple of years is finishing power. And if you look at the 4 goals before the Redwoods get a goal, Holman, Nolting with 2, and then Donville, and that just puts it away. You win a game at 12-9 going into the 4th, and before you know it, it's 16-9, and this thing's done. So that's the big difference.
Yeah, and I wonder if teams are just having trouble adjusting to Cannons now without Lyle Thompson.
It's funny, but it's not the first time that this has happened. It happened. I've watched it happen in hockey. I've watched it happen in lacrosse. Buffalo Bandits are a good example of that as well. Is when the star's out, everybody else steps up. There's not just sitting it and passing it and feeding it off to that guy. And sometimes I think that we've talked about it before, that they spent too much time relying on Lyle to do all the work and get all those highlight goals and diving and jumping everywhere. It's amazing to watch. But as a team thing, it's not a cohesive thing. So with him out this year, this team has had to find ways to do what the one guy was doing. And everybody's part of it now. You're taking a look, you say Nolting's coming into his own. Holman, of course, has always been that guy. But Donville, I think, has found his wings now also in this league. And now when Thompson comes back and fits into a team like this, I don't think it's going to upset the chemistry. But he's going to have a lot of guys who are refined and ready. So this Cannons team could be on the verge of something really, really big for the next few years.
Now that's if he comes back, because if he wins a Man Cup with 6 Nations, there might be some incentive to return there in the summer.
Well, I think Six Nations put all their eggs into this particular basket, and they've gotten a lot of people who normally wouldn't be playing with them. Just like that's the one difference with Peterborough. These guys would be playing with Peterborough anyways because they're all Peterborough guys. But Six Nations, Brad Cree, he's going to be back with Oakville. McIntosh and some of these other guys who they've got rental players, Sundown, who are part of other leagues that they've taken on 1-year trades and 1-year signings. I don't think that this is the year that they're going to go, full tilt boogie, all or nothing. And look out. Nanaimo and Langley are both primed and ready for it too, and we'll get into that in a bit. But it's going to be interesting. But I have a feeling that Lyle will come back to. Healthcare benefits are a good thing, and
True.
to get that out of the PLL and pretty decent wage to go with your NLL wage, that stops everything else from having to happen. So, I'm pretty sure that we'll see him back in the PLL the following year. That brings us over to Pat's game, and it was a low-scoring affair. Pat.
Oh man,
The Archers and the Water Dogs. It was a goaltender's battle. It was really crazy. I really was wondering if anybody was actually going to find the bat. Never mind. It was 19-18 for the Archers over the Water Dogs. And you know what? Even with all that, man, I still love watching Brett Dobson in net for the Archers. Now, Dauber is a friend. He's a friend of. He plays for Sean Ferris, who's another good friend. In Georgia. So to have him do well at the PLL, I love it. But let's hear a little bit about this game.
Well, listen. First of all, right off the bat, I gotta give Michael Sowers. He's my all-time favorite PLL player right now. And here
just for the Eagles jersey he was wearing to come into the game,
just because he walked into Dallas with his Eagle jersey on, you automatically got my winner. So I did my research.
Just for you, Pat. Just for you, okay? There you go.
You got it.
Just for you.
So not just that, but so I did my research on Mike Sowers. I'm like, so where exactly is he from? I know he played for the Blue Devils in college. So I'm like, where exactly is this kid from? Here I got to find out Dresser, PA. Dresser is literally in the roundabout Montgomery County. Maybe he might be 15 minutes from where I'm at now in Ambler. So that just got me closer to my heart. I said, this kid's my guy right now. This is my guy. This is my ticket right here. But no, but getting back to the game here, you look, this was a heavyweight bout showdown. If you like boxing, you like two heavyweights getting in there in the ring and going slugfest for slugfest. These two teams had it. I mean, Connor Fields, just the one play alone in the fourth, really, really caught my eyes. This is why this kid is talented across. He makes that backward pass in double coverage to Mac O'Keefe, and he finds the back of the net. And I was stunned with that one. And then, like I said, the Water Dogs would say, we can match that. We can go. And they were getting creative in the offensive zone and making plays, making things happen, and find the open spots where they were getting their counter punches in. So again, I was just enjoying this game from start to finish. 3:00 came. I didn't leave my couch. I was locked in. ESPN. I could care less that the Phillies just ruined my summer. I don't care about that. I was locked into PLL, action. This was two slugfests of a team going back and forth, and I enjoyed every minute. Like I said, both teams were really, really creative, and now it looks like the Archers might be getting a little bit of a day at the beach for next week, but it looks like the Cannons might be the next upcoming squad. Like you said, you guys just mentioned, they just took care of the Redwoods. Like I don't know what's happened to Redwoods, but Cannons look like they're 4-2 right now. I guess they'll be a next runner up. But I mean, I gotta give kudos though to the Water Dogs. They played their lights out.
Hey Michael, thank you for following along. Yes, I do have stuff about the Katoni trade from Rochester, Philly. Let us get through the PLL stuff at the bottom of the hour. We will get on to all of that stuff for you. Pat, I tell you, that was a heck of a game. A heck of a game. I wound up watching it too. I stopped what I was doing there because, you kind of have it in the back and then all of a sudden you stop doing what you're doing because it's just literally one highlight reel goal after another highlight reel goal after another highlight reel goal. And of course, you got guys like Walker and Goldbrecht, and then you got Sisselberger and Schreiber. Whenever Schreiber's in there, you're going to have a lot of really, really crazy goals. And
Connor Fields.
Connor Fields is just unbelievable. But also Moore, that's the best game he's had. And, a little bit bigger of a guy, and you're not going to push him around. He had 2 goals and 2 assists also. Trey Leclerc, he had 2 goals and an assist. Mac O'Keefe had 3 goals. So all these guys are putting in production. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different scorers for the Archers. So you have a balanced attack coming at them. Not to take anything away from the Water Dogs, because you had even more. 2, 4,
towards the end of the fourth,
10 different scores for the Water Dogs. And Ethan Walker, what more can we say about him? 3 goals, 4 assists. Sowers with 2 goals and 2 assists.
Yeah.
Cardle, they had a thing about him in the halftime about his stuff with Team USA. Now, he was also a Toronto Rock for a little bit, so we called him the sheriff over here as he mixed it up in the corners. And, 3 goals over there. Gobrecht had 2 goals. McConvey with a goal. Jack Hanna with a goal. Higgins with a goal. It goes on and on and on, all the way down to Liam Burns, helping out with an assist. So everybody was in on this one. So, DeLuca looked good in net, and Dobson had a great 14 saves. 18 went in, but 14 big saves.
That was the beauty part. Like the Archers had them on the ropes by middle of the fourth because they stretched their league. It was 16-16, and then Archers, I mean, they just had back-to-back goals, and that's what really compounded their win. You know what I mean? And again, the Water Dogs, if you give Water Dogs maybe 5 more minutes, they would have had a tie game. But unfortunately, look, you have to score. You have to finish out the course, and again, Archer's proven why they're their best in the league right now. They proved it.
I'm thinking that we probably have the preview of what we might see for the championship.
Hey, listen, if I'm getting this in Philly, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah. Yeah. If we get you away from the buffet.
Well, that's another battle.
We had to let you know there was actually some NCAA games to watch.
Yes, and it will be at Subaru Park. So yes, I know what the buffet scene is going to look like. So yes, thanks for the reminder.
Well, we go over to one more game, and of course the Buffalo Bandit Chaos faced the Whip Snakes, and the Whip Snakes came out on top, 17-16.
Yeah, so big win for the Whip Snakes. They're getting off the schneid themselves. So 2-4 now. Chaos drops to 3-3. For Whip Snakes, Will Manny finally kind of getting back. He disappeared for a couple of games. 2 goals, 3 assists. Matt Rambo, 2 goals and 3 assists as well. A couple of 2-point goals from Brad Smith and Pugliese. Zed Williams, pair of goals. So Whip Snakes are hopefully they're finding a way to turn things around. For Chaos,
uncharacteristically not great game for Blaze Reardon in net. Only a 48.3% save percentage. He made 14 saves though, but they got the better of him. Interesting is LaSalle against Rowlett on the faceoffs. It was 18-16, so almost a dead heat between these two up and comers. So,
yeah. I mean, LaSalle is looking good, and I think it needs to be said. Remember, this guy was involved in the trade that brought Callum Crawford to Panther City.
Yes.
So the New York Riptide might have, if this guy decides he wants to play box, the New York Riptide might have, one
of those missing pieces.
A backup option because if I'm not entirely sure about Jay Thornbird's contract situation, but I believe he was on a 1-year deal, so he may. He
hang him up too, right? So he's already done everything he can do.
Pretty much. So that's that will be an interesting situation to look at with the Riptide as free agency opens. So
absolutely. But yeah, we've had a heck of a week for PLL stuff. Up and coming, we have, like I said, the Archers and Atlas. Which is the ABC game on Saturday. So look for Pat to be taking care of that one for us.
Yes.
We got the Whip Snakes against Chrome, which is the later game on the Saturday at 5:30. The 1:00 game on the Sunday is the Redwoods versus Chaos, and the 3:30 game is the Water Dogs versus Cannons. Another interesting matchup to finish off that week. And for all you folks on the East Coast, that it is in Baltimore next weekend. So get your tickets and get your butts on over there because you are not going to be disappointed.
And
Oh.
one little thing I want to add, since I spoke about it with Pat earlier on his show this morning, Kyle Jackson, a hat trick for Chaos.
Yeah.
So,
Alrighty. Cool. Well, we got a whole lot of things to cover now, coming NLL style.
Yes.
Was a
Yeah. Let's
ton
talk some
of
lacrosse. I love lacrosse. Come on.
yeah. So, first of all, we already talked about Suter. Now, first overall pick last year's draft was Thomas McConvey, and he signed a 2-year contract with Rochester, signed, sealed, delivered. Owen Grant and Vancouver with the 3rd overall pick, and he's been signed now, and is going to shore up that defense, I imagine. Now, of course, with Molosky in there, his style. Why do we have that up there?
I don't know.
Let's not worry about that. Onward. We have Ty Kurtz, who's been signed to the Albany Firewolves. A big one is Rob Williams is leaving Colorado and going to the Vancouver Warriors as the defensive coach. And that's a big one. That's a big one because that opens up a spot over in Colorado. Now, we had Dan McRae, who retired from the Riptide, but not long after, all of a sudden, Dan McRae is now the defensive coordinator for Colorado. That didn't take long to figure out either, right?
not at all.
All right. We're going to go over to Bobby Kidd, and he signed on with the Saskatchewan Rush for 1 year. Cody Jamieson, he is the man, and he is still the captain for Halifax, signed a 3-year extension. So he's locked up probably for the rest of his career.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I'm looking at, a big threat to the Philadelphia Wings was the Thunderbirds, the Halifax Thunderbirds. They bring in a new coach. They sign a kid for a 3-year deal. How scared should I be of these moves?
I mean, certainly the Suter hiring was, we just found out about it right before the show. It didn't come very long after the news of Billy D. Smith stepping down. So, I guess for me, I'm still processing that. Halifax, I don't expect their roster to change very much. I expect them to come back pretty much with almost the same personnel as they had last year. They seem to have had just some sort of intangible that's kind of, caused them to kind of have up and down second halves the last couple of seasons. They kind of stumbled into the playoffs really, both of the last 2 years. And of course, they've just happened to have been matched up against Toronto. This year was a little bit more, maybe more lopsided than last year. Last year obviously was that overtime thriller that almost wasn't an overtime thriller because, had they had literally half a second more, Brandon Robinson's shot would have counted as a goal, and Halifax would have been advancing to the East Final.
You love to let me just live that and live that and live that.
hey.
Love to have me live that. However, that didn't happen. So,
yeah, as far as being scared of them, maybe. They, the Wings did go 0-2 against them last year. The regular season opener was especially eye-opening. Certainly something no Wings fan wanted to watch. That was a tough game to swallow, especially to open the season. They certainly had a better outing. Their second matchup later in the year when they were a little more firmed up. They had Mitch Jones by then, but Philadelphia is obviously making moves too. So it's definitely going to be a knockdown, drag out. I mean, the East is going to be
something to behold. Because don't forget, Albany's going to get a couple of their guys back too. A few of these signings and a few of these draft picks coming in too, and they're not going to be a pushover like they were last year too. So this is going to be a knock 'em down, drag 'em out division, and may the best.
New York's definitely going to be a better team. Georgia's, I'm sure they're going to look to have a better start.
Well, yeah, if they weren't 0-8 to start, take a look at their finish because they were damn near unblemished.
Yeah. So, and Buffalo obviously isn't going to lose much. Toronto isn't going to lose much. If anything, Toronto's,
just got a lot.
We'll get to that speculation in a minute, but a certain number 4 that was formerly in lime green and black might be headed there. So, yeah. So, I mean, we'll see, and then, Rochester, I mean, they made a few signings. I think the question with Rochester coming in will be, hey, can they replicate what they just did?
Sure. And, Hartley doing his thing, and can he stay healthy? And he proved last year he could, but proof is in the pudding. Let's keep going with this list though, because there's still a bunch to go through. It Piatelli, who re-signed with Albany, big addition last year. He was huge down the stretch. Re-signed with Colorado is Tyler Garrison on defense. Dan Coates with a 1-year agreement with Rochester. This is the big one over in Panther City, is that Callum Crawford is sticking around. Showtime Callum Crawford, who is 7th all-time in assists, 8th all-time in points, and 11th player to reach the record 450-plus goals. Now, over to Philadelphia. And, of course, Mitch Jones is a wing for a while now. Zach Higgins, he's sticking around. That's another – well, Pat, I know you don't like it, but here's the thing. There aren't a lot of choices around for one. Number 2 in line is Deacon Nod, who's having a great summer with Burlington. Might even win a Minto Cup this summer. Good lineage and, had a good year with Oshawa, the ALL as well. So part of that Philadelphia Wings, because Paul Day is trying to find Lakers. Is having Deacon there. So having Zach there in transition into that role, you're not going to put a guy like a Matt Vince or a Nick Rose or a Dylan Ward or someone like that if you plan on moving Deacon Nod into that slot gradually. So having Higgins in there, Higgins is a decent goalie by all standards, NLL standards too. And by having Deacon on the bench there, because I don't think you're going to see Angus Goodleaf there. I think his career is come and gone. So I think that this is the year that Deacon actually makes it off the practice squad and onto the team, and he'll start seeing action, and that is the future. So
yeah, and I would add too. Higgins was, he was 5th in minutes played, so reliability, or availability. We always talk about availability is the best ability to have, and he was 2nd in saves to Matt Vince. So, that tells
a lot about the lack of defense.
Yeah, he faced a lot of rubber, So, that's always when you're making that many saves in a season, and you're threatening, the single season saves record. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing that tells you.
Well, I'll just give you 3 games, and they're all against Toronto. 2 of them were blowouts that Toronto beat Philadelphia. But that wasn't him. Those the defense, they should have bought tickets. They could have sat in the third row and just been spectators because that's all they did was stand around and go. Wait.
And that's like me and
In the
Mike
game
were
they
talking.
beat Toronto, that was Higgins. He faced
Right,
60 some odd shots and he stole them. And they beat him, I think it's 13-12. Anybody not having a great day, and that would have been the third loss of 3. So, yeah, that was that Monday night game, and he stoned them cold. So, he has that ability. So,
and it was,
not all is lost with that.
and that, so like me and Mike were talking about this morning. Like I at first when I saw the initial signing, I started to pull my hair out. I started to bang my head against the desk. I started to go crazy. I was like, no. But then after you think about it and start looking and rewatching tape, and you realizing, I don't think it was so much Higgins. Like in that first half, we've seen it. The guy can dominate, but when that second half and your defense, the defense alone looks like there's a bunch of miscommunication. Your man coverages and zone and who to stick who, and when your opposing team makes adjustments and get creative and all that stuff. I don't know if it's Paul Day that doesn't know how to make adjustments on the fly and say, you know what, I got to, I can't just stick to this game. They're going to, these coaches get paid to do. They get paid to break you down. So they had to come up with and get creative.
I can go one step further for you, Pat, is also if he's wearing 60 pounds worth of equipment and he's faced 42 shots in the first half, by the fourth quarter when he's faced his 60th shot, he's gassed.
Yeah.
So if you have hung him out to dry for 47 minutes, those last 12 or 13 minutes are not going to go well.
And so like your problem's still going to be the same for next year unless they start building up on defense.
Well, no, first of all, a lot of guys who are hurt are back. Number 2,
right.
They're drafting. Some of their draft picks are coming back. Wait till free agency hits on Tuesday.
Yeah, the complexion of the team can look a little different, though.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget, with Trevor Batiste, possession-wise, you're going to see a lot more possession Philadelphia side. Then you're going to start looking at, again, you got both Catonis. We'll get to that trade in a second. You got both Catonis. You've got Bressaterets. You've got Jones, let alone all the others in there. Plus, you've got the guys coming in, Taggart Clark and the rest of them. So, there's an abundance. We never even talked about Matt Rambo, right?
Right.
Is he going to be the piece that doesn't fit in? Even though he's a Philly guy and he's going to have to fit in if you want to keep your base. So there's going to have to be a lot of little shuffling things around there and expect a trade or two so Philly gets draft picks down the road because they don't need players for these players. So Dale will be trading a couple of these guys for draft picks for 2024, 2025. You take a look at, and you'll start pocketing those, which will start helping. This is what Keenan has done in Saskatchewan so effectively for so many years, is he's been able to stockpile his draft picks. So even when they had the one bad year, how long did it take for them to become back to be a viable team? 1 year.
Not very long.
A little bit of free agency and a few right draft picks, and boom. Now, if they've got their goaltending thing ironed out, we'll find that out soon. Then they're back in business.
So, guys, let me ask you: who do you think's out then in Philly? If you're Paul Day, who you keeping?
That's tough, and I'm more curious to see who he's going to go for in free agency. I think once you see the first couple of days of free agency, then you're going to start seeing how the pieces shape and how they'll fold into it. But it's one thing. They've got, I think they've got 11 Peterborough guys on there now. But you also have to make sure that you keep the Philly guys there too, because you want to keep the base interested. But to move along, our next one, of course, was the Catoni trade, and another reason why you want to keep some picks is because you gave away some picks. They got the first round pick for 2024. They gave away the first round pick. 55th overall pick, 2023, Hunter Lemieux, and they got Holden Catoni and a 6th round pick. Now we all know a 6th round pick is the Zamboni driver for the Flyers. That doesn't mean much if you're not in the first 2 or 3 rounds, unless lightning strikes. Thank you.
Which it has.
Thank you. It's happened before.
Yep.
But usually they've come back as an unrestricted free agent somewhere a couple of years down the road. But usually fifth and sixth rounders are there's nobody left in the place to say congratulations.
Right.
But
Wow.
giving up those picks, you'll look stockpile picks again.
Yeah, so it's a win-win situation now. So again, they bring in Hulk Katoni. Again, 84 points, 44 goals, 40 assists. The guy, it was a playmaker for the Nighthawks. So I'm glad that he's going to be teaming up with his brother. And like Mike said this morning, it's going to be an interesting X factor. How is he going to be pairing up with Mitch Jones? What's that combination going to look like?
I think it's going to be great because Jones has a lot of setting up, and Holden is there with the blast. He's got a howitzer from the outside. He's not one of the guys that are going to go inside a lot of the times. Tate does more of that. He does more of the digging and getting inside. Holden is your from the arc and just blast. And more times than not, it finds the net. So he's a piece that Philadelphia really doesn't have. You've got a lot of finesse guys. You got Mitch. You've got Resetaritz. Again, you got Rambo on the side of the net too, if we're keeping him too. So you got the quick stick over there, a couple of bulldozers in there, and Holden's a big guy with a huge shot. So that's a huge pickup for Philadelphia in my eyes. The moment I saw it,
and I just want to touch on. I think the other thing too to factor in with Holden Katoni coming to Philly is, maybe he has a home for more than 1 or 2 years, because he's been one of those guys who's, I don't want to call him a numbers victim, because obviously, with the skill set, he's definitely making an NLL roster. But with when you compare it with expansion, the wave of expansion we had, he's already bounced around. I mean, this is already his 4th team. He was drafted originally by Calgary. He was traded to Georgia for Jesse King because that was a geographical issue with I think at the time, Holden was working in the DC area, and King's a Western guy. So it made sense for Calgary and Georgia to make that swap, to send Holden back east, send King out west. Now King is the captain of Calgary. So, but then expansion came along, and he was the odd man out in Georgia. He was left unprotected because, Georgia was coming off their cup win, and pretty much just they could only protect so many forwards, and unfortunately Katoni wasn't one of them. I'm sure they would love to have Holden Katoni right now, the Georgia Swarm, but Rochester was able to pick him up. So he's kind of, he's in his 5th or 6th year now, and this is his 4th different team. So, there's certainly that factor to consider too, is just, hey, now I'm in a location where hopefully I'm stable. I'll be here, longer than a year or two. And
a lot easier on Dad too. He only has to cheer for one team and win several wins. Guido's a great guy, and I'm really happy for him. And he's got both his boys going, looking for a Man Cup now, and hopefully looking for an NLL championship.
So can I ask you both a question?
Sure.
So Mike, I'm going to go with you first, Mike. So to you, who won this trade, Rochester or Philly?
Oh boy. When it comes to winning trades, usually you gotta, especially NLL, you definitely gotta give, a little more time. I think, take a look and see who Rochester drafts. That'll certainly be interesting, to see who they draft with Philly's pick. Hunter Lemieux, I don't want to say he just didn't get a shot at all, but obviously I think he knew coming in, he was the 4th lefty. He was going to be the guy who was just going to be getting in the middle, setting picks, doing the dirty work. He wasn't going to be tallying a whole lot of points. Maybe he gets more of a chance to shine in Rochester now. I mean, he'll be working with Connor Fields, who's still young.
Mhm.
He'll be working with, he'll have some veteran leadership in Turner Evans to mentor him.
He'll have more of a shot to get in the lineup too, which is something
I'm trying to think of
in
who else is on that left side. I was going to say Charlie Bertrand, but he obviously got traded to Vegas.
I'd say
I'm definitely missing someone.
There's openings there, and the other thing is, of course, the draft picks, to see who they're going to take with these draft picks. You wind up with somebody like Jeff Teat in the draft pick, and levels out over there. But I just by looking at it, the initial feeling is that Philadelphia wins this trade because of the player that Holden is and the production he's able to give you is a known commodity. Now, Lemieux, given the opportunity, who knows? Maybe he puts up 40 goals too, but we don't know yet. Maybe he only puts up 10 goals. Who knows? But it all depends on who he's playing with, and that's going to come down to how Mike Hazen uses him, right? If Mike Hazen uses him smartly, and again, Gavin Prout's not coming back to Rochester, so you're going to have a different scheme offensively. Maybe he fits more into what they want to do as well, because obviously they did their homework to make this trade.
Well, right. So, and one for you, Gary. So, with this move being made, does this make the Wings a viable contender now for at least the playoffs? Last year they were kind of on a balance beam of in and out, in and out, in and out. But will this put it more than just pretty much a wild card spot?
I honestly, as soon as they signed Mitch Jones, they were a playoff team. Because if they would have had him from the beginning of the year, I don't think that would have been an issue.
Right.
With him and Katoni starting from scratch, and the other Katoni and Rambo, and it keeps going on and on and on. Resiteras. It's funny how Resiteras, we talk about him kind of, and when last year we were talking about it was Resiteras, and now it's and Resiteras. So if that's your fourth and fifth choice is Resiteras, you got a hell of a lineup. So I think that I expect a lot bigger things out of Philadelphia if they can shore up their back end.
Right.
And I don't think that's a Higgins problem. I think I still maintain problem. It's been an identity problem. You can't tell whether, is this a team that can run in transition? They have the guys to do it. Ryan Wagner, Alex Pace, Isaiah Davis-Allen. They have speedsters who can run the floor. I feel like they should be doing it more, but I also feel like they should be a little more physical. That's probably the reason they brought Chad Tutton in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the plus side, my counterpoint to that would be I believe they had the fewest penalty minutes of any team this past year.
Wow.
But again, Tutton was out for a bit too. If he can stay healthy, that's going to be a big shot in the arm.
But I think you also need to contrast that discipline with the fact that Higgins was second in saves and faced so much rubber. There needs to be a better balance there with their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's guys getting in front of shots and soaking up shots. I mean, look what it did for Buffalo, winning a championship.
Yeah, it was all about discipline. As soon as they were disciplined, because when you're going to that level, everybody's got great power plays. So you're almost putting it on the board automatically if you're taking stupid penalties. So you want to limit that.
Especially when you looked at Game 2 versus Game 3 of the finals, with the level of composure that Buffalo showed after, unraveling.
Do you think Hazen and Dan Carey could be eyeing somebody in the first round pick in 2024? Well, there are a number of players that are stars in the OJLL right now. I could see that too. That they wanted to have that pick in their pocket.
The only downside to that is if Philly excels, the more Philly excels this year,
that pick goes further and further down.
So
it should be a good crop
it's
of
definitely not.
kids, so.
Yeah. It's definitely to the person asking that question. I would not anticipate that this pick is going to be a top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Not
I
by
would
any
anticipate
seriously wrong
this to
have to
be
happen.
in the bottom third. Closer to the compensatory picks if they're still being dished out next year. Than it is to the number 1 pick.
Like I say, the only thing
that's certainly
saving on that one is that it is going to be a good class with a lot of talent to be available for the draft. Every couple of years, the stars align, and next year will be another one of those years. So stay tuned. It's going to be a good one because I say with Dan Carey and Mike Hazen, you're talking about very seasoned, very high IQ'd coaching and general managers. So I'm sure they have a plan in place for what they want to do. And, Katoni, I'm sure they're sorry to see him go, but for what they can get and what they're going to be getting in Hunter Lemieux, I think that, time will tell. But I think that they did pretty good in this one as well, especially with the draft. But just to continue along with the last couple of things, we had the debacle with Scigliano. This was funny because he signed with Saskatchewan midweek, and then he put out a tweet thanking everybody he signed with San Diego, and then he put out a tweet thanking everybody in San Diego and fresh start over in Saskatchewan, but there was nothing to back it up. He beat all the press releases for almost a full day, and then finally, out of Saskatchewan and out of the NLL, we got that Saskatchewan got Scigliano, and San Diego received a couple of picks as well as the rights to Kyle Rubisch. So
yes, that would be that gentleman who used to wear 4 in lime green and black. So
I figured was earmarked for Toronto myself.
Yeah, most likely. But what if Paul Day came in and swooped him up?
Possible, but not probable. Wasn't a Peterborough guy; he was a Brampton guy.
Hopefully, that's not his only factor in considering signing. But you got
you get 11 Lakers on your team. It's starting to become a pretty big factor.
Yeah, listen. No matter where he goes, that team is getting a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm. Who still has something left in the tank to give.
Exactly. So,
and wouldn't it be great in Toronto to have him and Matthews there, since Mark Matthews is a Toronto Rock. You also have let's not forget the signing from last year. Yes, Chris Corbeil. So Saskatchewan East is slowly forming over here with championship pedigree players. So we'll see if that comes down to making, because free agency happens again Tuesday. And I have a feeling we're going to go see a frenzy for about a day and a half, and then things will settle down. So, yes, free agent begins August 1st. So that is the main ones. There's qualifying offers out there. I'm not going to bore you with all of that because we'll see what happens there. Because man,
and we know that's pretty much exclusive negotiating rights for those teams, so they're just gonna most likely re-up.
Yeah,
I think you're going to see very few guys who were qualified.
The interesting one, so again, Vegas didn't make a lot of noise, but they had re-signed Reed Reinhold to a 1-year deal, Nick Ellerton to a 2-year agreement. We talked about Aaron Bold last week signing to a 1-year agreement. Holding and Kellen LeClaire signed with San Diego. So yeah, there's some movement out there. Griffin Hall to a 2-year agreement in Vegas as well. So there's been moves. Georgia signed Brian Cole to a 3-year agreement and put the franchise tag on Lyle Thompson. And Robert Hope was signed with Colorado for 2 years. Albany has signed Brent Mitchell to a 2-year agreement. I've also put him on the active roster from the injury reserve. So And of course, San Diego. We talked about it, of course, with Dane Doby signing for another year.
Yeah, and Albany getting those players back and getting those players in. That's going to be big. They're going to get have a healthy Charlie Kitchen. They're going to have a healthy Joe Nardella, as far as we know.
Yeah, that's huge because that sunk their ship.
And then their whole draft class from last year is coming in with Alex Simmons and Ty Kurtz and Will Johansson, which is going to be huge for them.
And of course, the Riptide made news, of course, with Jeff Teach signing on for 2 more years, who is the foundation and the building blocker for everything there, and Ron John for a 2-year agreement as well. We talked about the Thunderbirds and Cody Jamieson, but it signed Ryan Terefenko to a 3-year deal and Clark Peterson to a 2-year deal. So they're shoring up their lineup as well. Colorado signed Jordan Gillis, 2-year agreement, and Tim Edwards to a 2-year agreement.
So do we think the Clark Peterson to Saskatchewan speculation is dead at this point?
I think so. I personally, I think that he fits in really well with the Halifax thing, and he's proven his weight in gold. So yeah. He's actually. It's funny because I've said it many times. Him and Teat have been joined at the hip for their entire career, all the way up through Brampton, all the way through Cornell, and even playing MSL again back in Brampton. And then when doing PLL, they were both on Atlas. So this has finally given Clark Peterson a chance to spread his own wings. And I think he took that ball and ran with it. And he's done tremendous work out there and fit in very well with the Halifax group. And I think that they're going to keep him as a very valuable piece to the puzzle. All righty, let's move on. We have playoffs to discuss in juniors. The OJLL, they're all set now for their finals. Burlington and Orangeville, the 2 top teams, they're going to start hammering it out for the Ontario final, and the winner of that is going to go to Alberta to the Minto Cup. Remember, the 4 places, since it's in Alberta, Alberta gets 2 slots, BC will get 1 slot, and Ontario will get 1 slot. So it will be the winner of this series that's going off to the Minto Cup. Orangeville is still undefeated. I believe they're 26-0 now.
Crazy.
This year. It's ridiculous.
That's insane.
And Burlington isn't far behind, man, and they have looked great. And talking with Deacon Knott last week in Peterborough at the Six Nations Peterborough game, and they're primed and ready. And as his quote was, it's just unfinished business to go without the Minto Cup. So they're all business at hand. Nobody is intimidated of a undefeated Orangeville team. So it's going to be great lacrosse. If you have a chance to either get out to the place out in Burlington or to the Tony Rose Arena in Orangeville, you are not going to be disappointed for making the trip because you are going to be watching some great lacrosse. Also take a look at the OJLL site to see if these games are televised. For you folks down in the U.S.,
I want to go to Alberta. I'd rather go up there, see what that's all about up there. I want to check it out.
Oh, you'd love it, man. The Tony Rose Arena is awesome, and the history involved in that place is just amazing. And it is the biggest thing in town. Everything happens around that. So, if we go into the BC Junior A's, we're looking at Coquitlam are ahead 2-1 in the best of 7 series with Victoria. Coquitlam took game 10-8, but Victoria rebounded with a 12-8 final in game 2. Adinex cruised to a 10-2 victory in game 3 on Saturday night. Game 4 was, I believe it's just over now. Coquitlam has won 7-3. So got a barn burner going on there in the finals there to see who is going to head to Alberta for the Minto Cup.
I like the. I see a supervisor has just checked into the show, and I liked her comment.
Alrighty, look out. Absolutely.
Supervisor is always right. Supervisor is always right. But look, guys, I want to say thanks for having me on. I'm going to roll. But yeah, let's see what happens this weekend in PLL World. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
All right, let's see what Philadelphia does with the free agency as well, Pat.
We'll be keeping an eye on that. Yep.
Keep an eye on that starting Tuesday morning, and hopefully our phones will be buzzing like crazy.
Well, if that doesn't, my Oracle will, and my Oracle will be ready to rock and roll. So, guys, I want to say thank you so much. Guys, always check in with my man, Double G Gary, my man, Muffler Mike. No. Muff the stuff. So, for the homewarming, that's Muff the stuff down there. So, guys, have a good one. I'm out of here. Enjoy the rest of your night, fellas.
All right, don't forget to check Pat out on Steel Steps on Friday night, too, with his SummerSlam preview.
That's right. With Todd Corner, the owner of ECW this weekend, so don't miss it.
Oh, even better. Awesome. Owner of ECW on there. Perfect. All righty. That was Pat. All righty, let's get off to the Rocky Mountain Rocky Mountain stuff. And, we already know that Edmonton Miners will be in the final with a sweep of Saskatchewan in the semifinal 7-game series. Other semifinal have been back and forth. Calgary Mountaineers picked up an 11-9 win over the Okotok Raiders on Friday night to force a Game 7. But we haven't gotten any scores in from that yet. That game is in progress, and hopefully we'll know something before this is over for who is going to be in the other slot there. Pretty amazing, eh? We have Ontario Series Lacrosse also, and they are starting to heat up. Well, as expected, the Oakville Rock rocked their way over Owen Sound, and they are now headed to the finals. And they are waiting to see who of the Brooklyn Merchants against the Six Nation Rivermen will be joining them. At the moment, Brooklyn is up 2-1 with a chance to close it out tonight. And again, we don't have any up-to-date scores for you, but hopefully before we're done, we will. All righty. Mike, we have WLA.
WLA. All right. Well, I will just run through the scores quick. This was the final week of the regular season. And it did start off with a bang last Sunday night as we were going off the air. I believe,
what a game that was, eh?
Yeah, I believe we had said Langley was up 4-1 or something like that when they and yeah, it almost,
and that lit a fire under
Nanaimo. Going to be a done deal for Langley, and this will have implications as we'll get to shortly. But Nanaimo comes storming back, wins 16-8 over the top-seeded Langley Thunder. Moving along to Tuesday, Nanaimo continued their winning ways, 11-10 over Burnaby. Burnaby kind of fading, once they were kind of mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. Things kind of dropped off. Langley does rebound.
Anyways, right?
It was, yeah. So 1-goal loss in Nanaimo. Then they follow up the next night having to play in Langley, and Langley beats Burnaby 9-6. But obviously the loss to Nanaimo on Sunday opened the door for New Westminster to possibly take the top seed heading into the playoffs. The Salmon Bellies would respond. Thursday night, they beat Maple Ridge 12-7. Friday night, Maple Ridge dropped another decision, 12-6 to Victoria. And unfortunately for Maple Ridge, oh boy, yeah, they opened the season 2-0 and have gone 1-13-1 since. So
I haven't had a chance to do that very often this year. Kind of like me and wearing an Atlas shirt. I haven't had a lot of celebratory weeks in there, and you know what? I'm going to live this one.
So here comes Saturday night, and 2 games on Saturday night. the bigger one being New Westminster beating Nanaimo 11-6. By winning both of their remaining games, they now are a game ahead of Langley at 15-3. Langley finishes 14-4. So New Westminster will be the number 1 seed for the playoffs. Langley will be the number 2 seed. Nanaimo finishes 12-6. They will be third, and they will play Langley, as we'll get to shortly. The other game, Victoria tops Coquitlam 12-11. Victoria was already pretty much slated to be the number 4 seed. They finished 10-7-1. One game remaining. Not much implication. Coquitlam and Maple Ridge play Monday night.
The Battle of the Basement, yeah.
Battle of the Basement, though, I believe with Coquitlam losing Saturday, they actually cannot leapfrog Maple Ridge, even if they win. So Coquitlam will finish in last place. Maple Ridge will take 6th place.
All right, that brings us to the playoff schedule, which is...
Yep. So these semifinals will be best of 5 series. You'll have number 2 Langley against number 3 Nanaimo, and number 1 New Westminster against number 4 Victoria. Obviously, stay tuned to All Lacrosse All the Time, our Facebook page, our Instagram, all our other channels. I believe Shawn will pretty much be covering the entire Langley Nanaimo series, and I will be covering all of the New West Victoria games. So
very good.
Will be coming in during the week.
Very good. All righty. So that brings us over to Major Series Lacrosse and their final week. And, well, we start out on Thursday. We didn't have a Tuesday game. And we had Brooklyn and Peterborough. Yeah, because Sunday night was their... Oh, I'm sorry. Let's go back a little further. We started out on Tuesday. I love this site. This site is just some of my favorite stuff. Anyways, we have Six Nations against Coburg. And it's funny, games that don't matter much, they were closer than some of the other games. And it wasn't that they were holding guys back. Six Nations put their full lineup out there. You still... Stotts, Thompson... LeClaire, Bombury, everybody's out there. But Coburg has shown, especially since they're going to be facing Six Nations in the first round, that they have spunk. They have a lot of gumption. They are a very aggressive
pushover.
They don't win a lot, but they're a very aggressive team, and they will be part of this mix. Six Nations winds up winning Tuesday 12-9. In Six Nations. But, man, Coburg gave them all they could handle. It was a bad second period that Coburg had where Six Nations got 8 goals, which was the difference in this thing because they were riding high. It was 6-2 after the first. And then everything kind of, went into a defensive struggle into the third. The other playoff matchup is going to be Brooklyn and Peterborough. And, again, Peterborough flexed their muscle in this one. On the Wednesday night game, they won 14-7. They went wire to wire. They jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Brooklyn tied it, and that was it. Gone. It was 11-5 after 2 periods. This thing was over. They took the foot off the gas and wound up winning 14-7, and wound up playing again Brooklyn in Peterborough the next night, and this one was a little bit more of a barn burner. Brooklyn, for the longest point, was looking to steal this one, just to make a statement. Eli McLaughlin opened it up on the power play for Peterborough. Kyle Waters and Mike Byrne, and it was 2-1 for Brooklyn after 1. Power play goal by Kyle Waters made it 3-1. Josh Courier and Eli McLaughlin scored, which tied it up. 2 more power play goals from Brooklyn, Pilcher and Osborne, and it was 5-3. Gilroy got one back in transition and was 5-4. But Brady Kernan and Kyle Waters, and it was 7-4 for Brooklyn after 2. Jack Boyden made it 8-4 before Peterborough turned on their jets. Tate Katoni, Mitch Ogilvie, and Eli McLaughlin scored, and it was 8-7. Mike Byrne made it 9-7 with a shorthanded goal, but Josh Courier and Austin Hazen scored, and it was 9-9 heading into overtime. And almost through the entire overtime period, in fact, it looked like it was going to be a tie. Tate Katoni is your hero, scoring with just over a minute left, converting a Turner Evans feed with a blast from just outside of the crease. And there is your winner. And Peterborough skates away with a 10-9 victory to finish their season. Earlier this evening in Coburg, Six Nations in Coburg met once again. And, well, we had a much closer and much tighter game than was expected. I knew there would be some messages sent back and forth, and sure enough, we had a penalty-filled game. But the Chiefs skate away with a 13-11 victory on late goals by Shane Jackson and Larson Sundown with under 4 minutes to go. And that was the difference in this game. So the messages have been sent for these best of 7 series, which begin Wednesday. I believe Peterborough starts it out on Wednesday, and I believe Six Nation has their first game against Coburg on Thursday. And that will be it for the MSL. Into the playoffs they go. Brampton is sitting out. Pretty interesting stuff, man. We got some pretty good stuff happening. This is the big battle. Once we get through this, for all intents and purposes, Peterborough against Six Nations will be the slobber knocker. If the season games have anything to say about what's going to happen in the playoffs, let alone the history, and both teams going to be at full strength. So that's going to be one you're not going to want to miss.
Yeah.
And, of course, winner of that heads off to BC this year for the Mann Cup to face whichever one of the 4 survive in that slobber knocker event.
Yep.
So there's a lot of things coming up. Stick with us. We will have everything for you. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Thread. You can also find us on All Lacrosse All the Time on YouTube. And there should be some more retro games coming up in the next week or so. Another 2 of them anyways, and then a few more coming up before the end of the summer. I think the next one coming up on there is the, for you Buffalo Bandits fans, is the Mark Steenhouse record-breaking, I think it was 17-point night against the Toronto Rock from Valentine's Day 2009. And there is also a Toronto Rock game against the Pittsburgh Crossfire from 1999. So a couple of really golden oldies that are going to be going up there, and many, many more in the collection to get converted and put up there. So stick around with us. We will have all these games for you in their entireties. So that's going to be pretty cool. Remember to check back with us 3, 4, 5 times a day, especially this upcoming week with free agency in the NLL. There will be a lot of news to report and a lot of things coming down the pipe, as well as trades and other things that are going to be happening, let alone all the stuff going on in PLL as they're ramping up in the second half of their season. And, of course, playoffs between the juniors, playoffs with the OSL, and playoffs, of course, with the MSL and WLA heading towards the Mann Cup there. Anything I missed, Mike?
I don't think so.
It's a mouthful and a half, I'm telling you. So basically, stick with us all the time because, hey, Dave did. He's here with us now. Dave, how's it going?
Hey, Dave.
Good to see you, bud.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for jumping in with us. And we want to thank everybody for jumping aboard and following us week to week and hanging out with us because, God, there's a lot of stuff going on and you don't want to miss anything. And again, we have our fingers on the pulse and everything is coming in through us. So you want to come and check us out at All Lacrosse All the Time through that, or go on to Edge of Philly Sports at eopsports.com/lacrosse for all of our articles. For Shawn Slaght, who is busy doing family things out in Saskatchewan. For Muffler Mike out in Connecticut. And for me, Gary Groob here in Toronto. Again, I want to thank you again for joining us weekly. And don't forget to come back next Sunday at 9 p.m. We have a couple of morning ones coming up after that. But next week, we are still at 9 p.m. So until then, keep your stick in your hands. And thanks again for being with us.